It was turkey and dressing night. No, it was spaghetti night. And just in fucking 30 minutes later, I'm like, who fucked who? Who fucked who? I'm so glad you said that because I use that shit all the time and my gums stay bleeding. And Amber's like, well, your gums bleed because you don't floss enough. And I'm like, I floss every day and my gums bleed when I do it. So, like, what are you talking about?
I mean, my understanding is that Amber is correct.
Yeah.
For the record.
I mean,
like, I've had dental professionals tell me that.
I know that's what everybody says, but, like, I do it often and they just bleed every time. So, like, am I an anomaly or something? Because, like, that can't be it.
Maybe
like,
you just don't hit hard enough at it. You know?
I know that. There's no doubt about that. But, like, every time we eat, because I stay eating stuff that be getting in my teeth because I got big spread out teeth because they don't hit. Mm-hmm. You know?
I do know. Yeah. We just in it. We just going. You want to just go? Do the
ads afterwards?
Yeah.
That's fine by me.
Started. Hey, what's up, everybody? We're in it. We're talking about bleeding gums and stuff. Trying to pick chicken out of my goddamn teeth.
But it hits, yeah. I stay having. Hey, let me ask you this. You got a big piece of chicken in your teeth, right? And I'm not talking about from the day before. I'm talking about from a couple hours before. And let's say hypothetically.
Yeah, I literally have that right now.
Right. But let's say hypothetically. I understand, like, if you floss it and it gets on the flosser, it's like you throw it away. But, like, if it just come loose, you just swallow it.
Probably most time. I mean, like, I can tell you this: if I'm eating like something like Oreos or Puff Chaws or something, both of which get real. If people don't know, Puff Chaws or Cheeto Puffs.
That you
both of those get all up in my teeth like crazy, just caked up in my teeth, and I'll pick them out of my teeth with my fingernails, and then just swallow all that, and then bite the extra off my fingernail back into my mouth and swallow that too. I don't let Nern go to waste.
I was just making sure we were the same gross.
Yeah. This ain't got nothing to do with nothing. May not hit for our fans, so I just want to do it real quick.
Never stopped us.
I know, because I find this very interesting, but I realize a lot of people probably won't. We're both comedians, but just like thinking like it's so wild. Senses of humor are such a weird thing, and an unaccountable thing. Because like I remember once I was.
You mean in the sense that you can't help it?
I get, and they can vary so wildly, and things that I just am like, that ain't it. Can just absolutely murder other people, and vice versa.
And the opposite.
What made me think about this was last night I watched 2 comedy specials back to back. Now both these guys are great. I watched Sam Morril's latest comedy special first on Amazon. You've Changed is what it's called. I had not seen it. I watched it for the first time. He's one of the best joke writers out there. Sam's awesome. Love him. I thought it was very funny. But watching him, I did what I do almost all the time when watching any comedian. I think most of us are like this if we're not in the same room.
You try to get to the bit?
At the very least. Well, yeah, that also, you kind of guess at what's coming and that type of shit. But what I mean is like many, many times to myself, kind of under my breath in the room, I was like, oh, that's a good joke. Damn, that's a good joke. Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, you don't laugh.
I actually laugh. I'm like, damn, that's funny, man. He's a real pro. That's a damn good joke. That
because it's like
I say that type of
football coach
shit.
Watching a kid like scouting, he's not going to go, woo, fucking great run. Right. He's just going to go, excellent. The way that he, ran through that blocker there.
But keeping that in mind, and for the other y'all that don't know, Sam, he's like a technician. He's like a joke writer. He's very, very clever, very high, very tight, very tight writing. No fat whatsoever. Very efficient, clever joke writing. He's a master craftsman in that way. And the whole time I was like, this is a good special. That was a funny joke. This is great, whatever. But very rarely did I actually laugh out loud. Then after that, I rewatched for the second time, but first time in a long time, fucking Shane Gillis's Netflix special, Beautiful Dogs. And at one point, Shane goes, he literally just goes, so me and my girlfriend, we just moved in together. And after we have sex, I wish she'd just fucking evaporate, bro. Right? And I started cracking up. And then people in the audience were laughing, but some people kind of groaned, like, ooh, whatever. And when they did that, he goes, oh, yeah, no, you're right, dude. You're right. Playing Xbox by myself fucking sucks. It sucks. I ain't doing that. And it's like, that's just, he just like said some bro
the words
shit
aren't funny.
Or whatever.
Yeah,
but like, But it just absolutely killed me. Like I couldn't help but, and again, I've seen it before, but I could
Sam's
not help
stuff
but
is
laugh
funny
at
on
it.
a piece of paper, and Shane's isn't. You know what I mean? Like it's
right.
And I feel very much like me and you are kind of that, because like your stuff is funny on a piece of paper. Some of mine is, sure, but like for the most part, it's like you just gotta see me do it. Like just see me just see me do it.
Right. But it's just so weird. Because again, I'm somebody who I feel like, understands comedy or whatever. And again, I could see a very great, well-written joke and appreciate it. Be like, that's awesome. That guy's really good. I respect that. But not like actually laugh at it.
Right.
But then just see some shit like that. Again, Shane Gill is basically just broing out pretty much.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's underplaying it. There's like, he also has small. A ton of jokes. Right. Yeah. Like he has jokes, but you can't even tell. It just seems like a broing out.
I like to feel like, again, that's me too. Like I do have jokes. It's just they're hidden in this all shucks whatever. But I mean, Shane's way better at it than either of us.
And that just got me to thinking about senses of humor and how this. My old boss at the DOE, I believe the sugar finally took him. Rest in peace, if I remember correctly. Heard over the years, but he one time we were all sitting at some.
That's our sugar button.
Some work lunch, and this other lady I worked with, who she was like a Christian conservative middle-aged mom lady, and I loved her to death. But she brought up Parks and Rec, which was still airing at the time.
Yeah.
And she brought it up. She's like, God, that show's so funny. It just kills me. And I was like, that's my favorite show on TV right now. It's so hard.
It is so great.
And then the boss man chimed in. He was like, oh, you guys like that? He's like, I tried to watch that show a couple times. Like, I just.
You and the rest of the world.
Couldn't laugh once. And he goes, no, I couldn't get into it. He's like, I'll tell you what's a funny show. Guess.
Big Bang Theory.
Absolutely.
Big Bang Theory.
Absolutely. Yeah. He said, now that's a funny show. All right. This dude also literally, I'm not making this up either. His favorite restaurant in the world was Applebee's. Yeah. Right. So it's like he was the CBS demographic. He's the exact person that kept CBS the number one network in America for all those years and that sustained chain restaurants and all that shit. He was that guy. But like he would sit in front of the TV and watch Big Bang Theory and just like and laugh his ass off.
I'm a bit of a Big Bang Theory apologist. Not that it's like one of my favorite shows. Like it's not. It's just like I feel like it's gotten to the point of that they're the Nickelback of TV shows. Right. Yeah, and I don't really appreciate it because like the thing is, dude, I've seen the thing where they play the show and they don't put the laugh track in. And I'm like, and it does illuminate things, but like you could also do that with a lot of shows, but also like, it kind of takes away from the fact that, like, dude, Sheldon really did hit. Like, even if he, like, I don't give a fuck whether, because again, I don't like the show, but I can appreciate, like, that guy's, his line delivery is great, and he makes things that shouldn't be funny good because his character's good. So, my point is, while that show is not one of my favorites, I'd still, usually when I hear someone shitting on it, I'm like, this is your whole personality, and that don't hit.
Well, no. I mean, I respect that show.
I know you're not that way.
What I'm saying is, like, I cannot fathom a person genuinely
thinking
believing that is laugh out loud funny. Plus, also that Parks and Rec is unwatchably unfunny. Like
you know what it is? They need the laugh track. They need the laugh track because Parks and Rec don't have one. Like there is a certain
simple as that. It just tells people like that guy when to laugh.
I really do think that I really genuinely do believe. I mean, those were used for a reason, but like I really do believe that there's a certain because especially if you're older. Now, granted, the woman was probably that same age too, but like there's a certain part of America who grew up. Sitcoms were multicam, laugh track, and anything that's not that, they're like, how do I know when it's over? When is the joke? Because on mine, there's a applause and a thing, and then I go, haha, and then they reset. Whereas Parks and Rec, you got to just know what funny is. You just gotta, but that's no, you're point. Right. The only thing I can think of that a dude like that would not like Parks and Rec is because, like, now, granted, most people like this dude, they can't
love Ron Swanson because they think
he's telling the truth.
Out. Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. They don't realize that he's the joke. They don't realize that he's based on a guy who they were like, isn't it ironic that you're a libertarian that works for the government? And that's what's funny about this. Right. But also, like, I know a lot of those people can't get subtext or whatever, and they can't but that show, it do be very front forward liberal as fuck sometimes. You know what I mean? Like Leslie, at least. Like I could understand why Leslie, because she's got the Michael Scott thing going on, except for Michael Scott wasn't a bleeding heart. He was just
she's also a woman who talks and is in charge.
She loves
and stuff
Biden. Yeah. So I'm saying, like, I bet a lot of that stuff, like how her character is a praise of big government. And Ron, I mean, the whole show is Ron's the only point of reference character for this guy. So I could get how they'd be like, this is propaganda. Because, dude, there was a couple episodes toward the latter of the season where I was like, this kind of is a little propaganda.
Yeah.
I love the show. I love the show.
Let's go back, since my wife, I think she still listens to this show. I guess if she does, we must not have been hitting for her the past few weeks because she ain't brought it up. So I'm not sure if she still listens or not. Maybe she finally gave up. But
yeah.
Or what? What's your theory?
Well, I was going to say, or she's lit, or yeah. Well, I think it's what you meant was like she's listening, but we hadn't hit for her, so she's not bringing it up. But that don't seem like the Katie I know.
I don't mean we're actively not hitting. If we were super not hitting for her, she'd bring that up too.
Yeah, right.
Which is very directly related to what I'm about to get. I want to get into briefly because that Shane thing that made me laugh so hard. It also made me think about that famous among men anyway. Famous Patrice O'Neal bit, right?
Oh, men want to be by ourselves, but we
just don't want to be alone, right? Or what? Like, we want to be by. We want to be left alone, but we don't want to be by ourselves.
Yeah, we want you in the general area,
vicinity, but not all up on. And it's like because
it's so true, dude.
It's so true. And women just don't. Bless their hearts.
I get depressed like
Katie comes to Katie all the time. She'll be like, it's like you just don't even want to be around me or whatever, and I'm like, no. I don't know what I do without you. Yeah, right. Yeah, I want you to be right there,
not doing
not
shit,
saying nothing. Yeah,
just fucking mouth closed, knit, bitch.
Yeah, but but I do want you there.
Your hands.
I do want you there. I don't want you nowhere else. If you were not there, I would miss you, and I love you dearly. But like, I want us to be together. But I want to also be left alone, and like she don't understand that. Like I think most women just fundamentally don't. But to me, that's one of the best gender related bits of all time, or whatever. So because every man I know is like, God, that's so exactly correct.
Like,
but yeah,
dude, I genuinely, I've told Amber this a lot, and I am I'm saying it in a way that I hope it makes her feel good, but like I mean it, like with my whole heart. Where I'm like, when you leave, like if she goes out of town for the weekend, I'm depressed because she's not here. Now, she might get home Monday and we not say a goddamn word to each other the whole day, but it's just like there's something about having a heartbeat in the house and just having life in the house and just like knowing that if I need her, I can go get her, you know, or she can go get me or whatever. And like I have to fucking check myself sometimes on like, dude, are you getting like cop possessive? You know what I mean? Like, because I'll be like, she'll be wanting to go do something. I'm like, why would you do that? Just stay here. Just don't do that. That don't hit. And I'm not saying don't fucking leave, but I want to.
I think that's the difference because, like, I know for a fact that Katie gets that way too. But what she does when she gets that way is she just leaves. Like she just she goes to Target or Goodwill or thrift stores or wherever. You know who the hell knows? I'd sooner lasso the moon. But when she's like sick of me or I'm getting on her nerves, she just leave the house for a few hours.
Right.
But when she's in the house with me, she want to be like engaging with me all the time. And I'm like, I'm the opposite. You know, it's like, I don't want to go nowhere. I don't want to go nowhere. I don't want you to go nowhere. I want us both to stay here, but let's just not say nothing for a while.
Keith Whitley, baby. Yeah, you say it best when you say nothing at all.
Yeah, right.
And they do. I can't tell you how many times I've said a quiet woman is the best woman. You know what I mean? And again, I love her. And the thing, because every now and then,
gonna hit for people or my wife if she is still listening.
I'm being real. I love her. I'm saying it from a place of love. Like every now and then, she says some stuff I want to hear. It's fucking like. It's very few and far between. Because dude, Katie's probably the same way. She's such a shit storyteller, and I tell her this shit all the time. She'll be like, hey, so, oh my God, you got to hear about what happened at work today. And I'm like, okay. And I'll get excited because she works at a meet and 3, and there's some fucking like, you know, there's some girls there that be like pregnant and they don't be knowing who the daddy is, and some of them are dating cops and stuff. So I'm like, oh, here we go, salacious. Let's go. And she'll be like, Kara at work, right? And it's not the Kara you're thinking of. And I'm like, I'm not thinking of any Kara. No, you remember Kara that I used to work with? And I'm like, not really. Yeah, you do. And then she'll explain to me this other Kara who has nothing to fucking do with the story at all. And then she will lose her focus. And I'm like, why did we even start this? She's like, oh, right. So Kara, anyway, so it was turkey and dressing night. No, it was spaghetti night. And fucking 30 minutes later, I'm like, who fucked who? Who fucked who? You know? And then she's like, well, if you're not going to listen, I'm fucking leaving. And then she'll go. And I'm like, baby, come back. I need you. Just hush. By the way, most of that was a bit. Okay. Right, I'm doing a thing.
A classic fresh take on marriage humor. from putting on airs today. But all right.
Next up, women be shopping.
Yeah, right.
Have y'all heard that the flavored air category is quickly becoming the leading alternative to vaping and smoking? It's a whole new movement towards better habits led by the sponsor of today's show, Fume. Okay, what would happen if you could, just get rid of your bad habits? You know what I mean? If you could just throw that junk into the ocean, explode it with a shotgun, be like, pull, wouldn't that be awesome? Well, here's the deal. You might find out once you've tried Fume. All right. We all have bad habits. Mine, I've had several bad habits over my life, but a lot of them do involve my hands and putting them near my mouth and taking in things that are just, well, it's a bad habit. Right. But as a matter of fact, dude, I'd have one bad habit and then I would light another bad habit, like right off of that. Well, what if I was to tell you there's a better alternative that helps you kick your bad habit in an enjoyable way, something you can take out with you literally anywhere. You can be at a football game, you can be at a concert, you can be in a restaurant. Nobody can tell you no because it's just air. Fume draws flavor to your mouth. It's flavored air. It's oxygen. It's oxygen 2.0. It's so much better. It's not a vape. There's no vapor. You can use it anywhere. There's no nicotine. It's not addictive. There's non-toxic flavors. It's guilt-free. No batteries. You don't have to charge it. It looks awesome. It feels great. If you're someone like me who has, ADD and stuff like that, and you got to fidget with things, you can fidget with this, and it's wonderful. By the way, Fume also continually they invest in third-party studies to ensure the safety of their products. They're backed by doctors in the U.S., so you're getting quality stuff. I personally like the orange vanilla the best. It kind of reminds me of having tea across the pond. I like it so much. And it's just great. It's just nice flavored air. I get to breathe and I feel like I'm doing something. Fume has served over 300,000 customers and you can be their next success story. For a limited time, use our code POA to get a free gift with your journey pack. Head to tryfume.com. That's try, FUM.com, and use POA and you're going to get a free gift with your journey pack. Tryfume.com, code POA. How about you?
Listen, y'all, how often do you think about your metabolism? Probably not enough, or maybe all the time. Depends on what type of person you are. But your metabolism's super important. I think we all learn that at a certain age and realize, okay, well, I don't know what I'm supposed to do about that, but I understand that it's a whole thing in my life. I guess I'll just keep on living and hope for the best. But you don't have to do that. You actually can take some control of your own metabolism with today's sponsor, Lumen. What is Lumen? Lumen is the world's first handheld metabolic coach. It's a device that measures your metabolism through your breath. And on the app, it lets you know whether you're burning fat or carbs, and it gives you tailored guidance to improve your nutrition, your workouts, your sleep, and even your stress management. All you got to do is breathe into your Lumen first thing in the morning, and you'll know what's going on with your metabolism, whether you're burning fat or carbs. Then Lumen will give you a personalized nutrition plan for that day based on those measurements. If you want, you can breathe into it before or after a workout or a meal so you can keep track of what's going on in your body in real time all day long. And Lumen will update you with tips to keep you on top of your health game. Your metabolism is your body's engine, y'all. It matters. Metabolic health matters greatly. It's how your body turns the food you eat into the fuel that keeps you going. Because your metabolism is at the center of everything your body does, optimal metabolic health translates to a bunch of benefits, including easier weight management, improved energy levels, better fitness results, better sleep, and on and on. Lumen gives you recommendations to improve your metabolic health with each breath. Lumen's recommendations are designed to improve your pre- and post-workout fueling for better performance and recovery so you can power through your toughest workouts and add on muscle mass. I just think it's great to be to have some insight into what's going on in your body. You know what I mean? Because I mean, I've been into, you can't tell by looking at me, it's one of the curses of my life, but I've been really into like, you know, exercise stuff, fitness stuff. I've had, because Katie was my wife was a personal trainer when I met her. I've had so many different gadgets and everything's over the years. And I think Lumen is one of the coolest ones because you get frustrated sometimes. You're like, am I not doing what I need to be doing? Well, now you can tell whether you're getting the results that you want by knowing whether you're burning fat or carbs, and the information that Lumen gives you. It's a very cool thing. So if you want to take the next step in improving your health, go to lumen.me/POA to get 15% off your Lumen. That is LUMEN.me/POA for 15% off your purchase. Thank you, Lumen, for sponsoring this episode. Moving on, before we dig ourselves too much of a grave there was the thing that I didn't get to last week, and it's another small thing that I want to tell you about this time, is Harvard fancy, right? Harvard Law School, fancy as hell.
So fancy.
Also involves the president and stuff like that. There's a dude, a professor at Harvard Law years ago named Roger Fisher, who became like the head of the Harvard negotiation project, which was a big deal at the time, I guess. So he was like, yeah, the HMP, the world famous HMP. But you know how in that show, what is it called? Mind Hunters? Is that what, you know?
Oh my God.
The David Fincher show.
Everybody else is like, they're like, Firefly is the best show that ever got canceled. And I'm like, it's Mindhunter by a million fucking yards. That show ruled.
Well, you know how in Mindhunter, the FBI were like, it was like this project where they were like, we're trying to figure out how to profile killers. Yeah. So we interview all these killers and stuff.
The dude from Hamilton was in it.
This dude did that with negotiating, right? So he became known as like an expert on mediation, negotiation, things of that nature. He wrote books on it. And he was like the world's leading expert on that whole deal. And he worked at Harvard. And in the 80s, I believe it was, let's see here, in 1981, he wrote this article in a prominent magazine at the time, and again, he was a prominent dude, proposing a new approach to nuclear deterrence, right? Because this is still in the middle.
We've needed a new approach.
This is still in the middle of the Cold War, 1981. Rocky Balboa had not ended it yet.
That's right.
In his victory over Ivan Drago, famously. But what Roger Fisher proposed was that, so the president really does have, there's nuclear launch codes, right? That's a real thing. In the nuclear football, it's in that briefcase that's handcuffed to a guy that's with him all the time, and he's got to put in the codes to launch the nukes. That's a real thing.
I'd be so scared if I was that guy at all times. I would be shitting.
Listen to this. You ain't heard nothing yet, because what this dude proposed is that those codes be implanted in a little capsule that's embedded in the chest of a
like Rush Hour 2.
Of a member of a government. Is that what happened in Rush Hour 2?
Well, no, in Rush Hour 2, that girl had the names of all the triads tattooed on her back or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, she was a human code to the thing. So, similar situation where it's like, you just got them in you. You know what I mean?
Right. But the president, in order to fire nuclear weapons, would have to murder this person and carve the codes out of his chest. The idea being...
Why'd you put him in his butt cheek?
Well, because the whole point is
has to be important.
The whole point is he's not going to be doing this unless he's trying to fire nuclear weapons. So the idea is that before he can fire nuclear weapons and kill millions of people, he has to kill one person himself, with his own hands, to understand the value of taking a human life.
It is fair.
Right. I mean, it's one of those, it's a very academic-y idea. It's one of those like, oh, that's interesting. It's like a thought experiment, but it's like, but clearly that shit ain't, no one's ever going to do that. But
well, right. But you're right. It is interesting because it's like, if you find, like, who's the person who would find that part of the situation inhumane, but not the rest of the part? You know what I mean? Like, who's the person who would be like, well, you can't do that. You just need to kill millions of people, not this one guy.
I think that the concern is, and I mean, think about some presidents we've had recently, and luckily no nukes have been fired yet, but that they don't think the idea is pushing a button, right?
Right. It's so
that
easy
will
to
just erase millions of people on the other side of the planet.
You just get drunk and do that.
Right. It's a whole different story than killing a man with your bare hands.
I mean, I kind of like it.
It's supposed to, right. So he said in the magazine he wrote that he wrote, quote, "When I suggested this to my friends in the Pentagon, they said, 'My God, that's terrible. Having to kill someone would distort the president's judgment. He might never push the button.'" Right? And it's like,
duh.
You think? Yeah.
Right.
You reckon? But anyway.
You said the thing. That I mean. That would be a great show, by the way.
I know.
Like a designated
or
survivor.
Or a movie.
Like,
yeah.
Like that guy. He's all for it because he's like, I love the president. I trust him. And then he realizes like he's about to do it, but he doesn't think the thing is just.
Right. Exactly.
And he's got to go on the lam.
See,
that'd be so awesome.
This is exactly where I was going to go with it too. I was going to pitch that too. So I'm glad you got there also.
Oh yeah, have Sean Penn play the guy.
I think it's like to me, it's more of a movie than a
It's not a series.
Or a limited series, maybe like just 6 episodes or something. But it's like
I think a movie's fine.
This guy's fiercely loyal to the president and the party, whatever party the president represents. You probably do that thing where it's like you never explicitly say which side the president is on, but it's like he's coded in a certain way. But this dude is fiercely loyal to him and all that, and has been with him for years. And he has this position, but the president becomes compromised in some way,
right?
And is wanting to do this, but the guy knows that it's not real. It's not. He's not just trying to save his own life. He genuinely doesn't believe in the cause. But then it becomes almost like a horror movie kind of. I mean, or you could make it that way where it's
and then the fucking
he's
climax.
Being pursued. He's like hiding throughout the White. He's like hiding, trying to not get murdered in the White House by the president, and the president's Secret Service and stuff. And it's like Die Hard mixed with a horror movie, mixed with
the climax.
White House Down or whatever.
Here's the climax. The guy proves that it's not just to save his life because he flees to like Cambodia or something, and in the end makes the decision to have one of their surgeons kill him and take the thing out and destroy it. So it's like he really was just wanting to protect everybody. You know what I mean? Like he makes that ultimate sacrifice. They're like, they're coming. They're going to get me. You got to get this shit out right now. If that means me dying, that's whatever. The president and all these people show up. He's laying on the fucking thing, bleeding out or whatever. And he says one last word. He's like, bipartisan, takes off his glasses, my ass. You know what I mean? Or whatever the fuck.
Yeah, that's pretty good. But anyway, that shit's wild, don't you think?
It is wild.
Okay, well, listen, I don't know what all you've got. I've got a thing I want to talk about.
I got some This Week in Fancy, and I got some other stuff, but your thing, I love it. I know how long it's going to take us, so I will be not brief, but like, you don't worry about it. Because like, I don't even know what you have planned. You just told me like the title of like, this is what I'm talking about. And like, I know me and you. I know me and you. I know how that's going to go. So I do have a couple of This Week in Fancies, Trae, that we can get to, and then we will take a break. Number one, and by the way, I have zero, like, not like I've read an article or anything. I read one. It was a couple days ago. But all I know is base level that, did you see where Mark Cuban is trying to make moves to buy Twitter? Like he's expressed interest in doing that?
No, but I mean, why would he? I thought that it was generally accepted that was a horrific business decision by Elon in the first place.
I think it was a horrific for how much he paid.
As a propaganda. I know, but is he going to take a huge loss on it, take a massive bath on it to unload it to Mark Cuban? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, no, he's
on
not.
The numbers.
He even said on Twitter that he's not. Like Elon goes, this is how I saw that it got started, was that Elon retweeted him and he started talking to him about it. Which pisses me off because I have I have Elon muted and all that shit, and I still see his stuff because he has, and we can actually share that story that we learned the other day here in a second. But I still see his stuff because he has tweaked the algorithm to where it's like, no, I own this, therefore you see everything I say, even if you don't want to see everything I say. And he tweeted back at Mark Cuban. He's like, oh, this is cute. He's like, I bought Twitter for $44 billion. Like, you don't even have that, motherfucker. Which, two things there. Number one, it's like, it is crazy that, like, you think about somebody like Mark Cuban, and, like, he still can be looked at as a peasant by some fucking people, which is wild. But secondly, Mark Cuban then tweeted back at him, and he's like, if you think this motherfucker is worth $44 billion now because of you, you've lost your goddamn mind. But yeah, Elon, we just found this out the other day. Elon, he's like worked overtime to get the algorithm to favor him. Like apparently he was at, do you have this pulled up in front of you?
No, I don't. But I'm trying to find it, but I can't find the exact story. It's not even that he. I mean, you said worked overtime, and I know that's just a phrase that you use.
Yeah, right.
But he literally just screamed at people that worked there, "Hey, make me hit!" Right?
Right. Yeah, that's true. I just meant like he's gone out of his way several times. Probably
he's definitely gone out of his way. That is true. Just don't want to make it sound like he's put a whole lot of effort into it.
Oh, no. He never puts effort into anything. That's the thing.
He threatens to fire them if they don't make him hit harder.
Okay, here it is. I'm going to read it. This is from a newspaper article that Patton Oswalt shared, so I believe it. Attending the Super Bowl as a guest of Rupert Murdoch, two fucking reason a tard, Musk had one of the most luxurious seats in the house, but rather than watching the game, he was glued to his phone in dismay. Both he and President Biden had sent tweets cheering on the Philadelphia Eagles, but even though Biden had far fewer followers than Musk on the platform, the president's tweet garnered 29 million views to Musk's measly 8.4 million. Livid, Musk demanded that his engineers find out why his tweet was underperforming Biden's. He left the game early to fly back to San Francisco, where dozens of employees were summoned to meet him on a Sunday night. Eventually, to placate their boss, the engineers tweaked Twitter's algorithm to boost Musk's post, pushing them into the user's feed, whether they follow him or not. In effect, Musk's tweets would have higher priority over any post. As they put forward the end of the book, a man allergic to criticism had bought himself the largest audience in the world and hoped for praise. So it's so weak, dude.
I just don't know. I like, to me, it's
imagine having that much money and being that insecure.
It goes even beyond insecurity to me. Well, I guess he doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to him. That it just matters how it appears. Because in my head, I was going like, how could there He's inside, you know that it's not real, is what I'm saying. Like, you're getting people to fake it, and you know that it's fake.
Yeah, it's all about perception to him.
But I guess that's not the important part. The important part is what it looks like to other people.
What other people think of him. Right. You know what I mean? What other people think of him. Aside from the Twitter employees, he don't give a fuck what they think of him.
A promoted ad on Twitter yesterday I didn't click on it because I was it was fucking terrifying garbage, and I didn't want to click on it because I was afraid what might happen if I did click on it. But it was advertising like human-like AI companionship, and it was a picture, or it was a video of a woman, like a beautiful woman, but she weren't real. She was AI.
She'll be in the room and shut up.
And it's $20 a month, and
that's it.
$20 a month, and you get this AI girlfriend, I guess, and it said on there that the content is PG-13.
Well,
so
can I pay 30?
Well, if you think about it, if it's just a little video on a screen, like you're having a FaceTime call with somebody,
I
mean, what are they going to do? It's not like it's a full-blown sex bot. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I mean, she could show you her titties, her fake digital titties.
I guess my point is, I can't imagine doing this. I can't imagine doing this if that wasn't what I wanted.
If there wasn't a titty element to it, I agree. But that's
kind of like, now I've never been as sad as some. Right. Exactly. Right. But like, to me, it's like, that is I would only ever entertain something like that if it was a perversion. Like if it was, I'm gonna, yeah, because like just to talk to a fake lady.
Yeah. Well, if it was at all, if it was funny in some way, because I remember.
That would hit.
Did you guys you and your friends ever fuck with? And they were such horrible malware. They were basically ruining our computers.
Tom the cat.
We had Bonzi Buddy is the one we had. Do you remember Bonzi Buddy?
Is that Japan?
He's a little purple gorilla that I'm about to Google him real quick. That like he was like
Tom.
Who was Tom? What did Tom do? Maybe
Tom
was
the cat
was
it was an app. It was an app where this cat would talk to you, but now that I'm thinking about it, it was kind of just like a yak back. Like you'd say stuff and it would repeat it, but in a little cat voice or whatever. So that's different.
So Bonzi Buddy was a freeware desktop virtual assistant. Do you remember the little Clippy from Microsoft Word?
Yeah. That was like, you don't hit.
Bonzi Buddy was kind of like that, except he was just a little purple monkey that you could like type stuff in, and he would say it. It's like text to speech, and he would interact with you and stuff like that. And anyway, we would just dick around with that because, again, this was like 1999.
Yeah, that's insane back then.
I know. That's what I'm saying. It blew our minds that it was even a thing that could exist. So but all I'm saying is like some kind of AI interactive thing. If it like could be entertaining in some way outside of sexually, I'm trying to imagine what that would even be like.
Well, like if they had an AI bot that was like it talked and had the same mannerisms as Richard Pryor or something, and you could like have a discussion with fake Richard Pryor about stuff that's going on now, and it would sound like Richard Pryor saying new things. Like I could understand the appeal for a minute. It's like, it's fake, but it's like, man, motherfucker, this is wild. You believe what Trump did? You see that son of a bitch? Like
that's pretty good. Crazy. That's pretty good. I mean, they did that with George Carlin already. They literally.
Yes, I know. I talked to his daughter Kelly about it, and she is very upset.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't hit for me either. I didn't.
Speaking of that, I'm gonna toot my own horn here. I want everybody. I don't know if she has it up yet, but Kelly is revamping George Carlin's YouTube. She's gonna start putting out clips, and because she wants younger people to like know who her dad was and stuff like that. Mainly because we don't get political on the show, but I'll say it. She's very upset at the way the right has co-opted him over the past couple of years. So she wants to share his stuff and control the narrative herself. And she has, I say employed, I'm doing it pro bono because I love her and I'm honored. But like, I'm going to be a part of the intro video to George Carlin's new YouTube, explaining to the young people who George Carlin is and what he meant to the comedy community. And I'm just so honored about that. So if it's already up, go ahead and follow the George Carlin YouTube, and you'll see me eventually.
Yeah, them trying to claim him is one of those things where it's like,
and us trying to claim him too is like, you kind of can't. I mean, I feel like we could claim him more, but like George Carlin was his own fucking thing. You know what I mean? Like he was his own fucking thing.
He was, but he'd be like, I'm trying to think of who I would like.
Well, I know exactly where Bill, well, no. Nowadays, Bill Burr. He's Bill Burr. Bill Burr, Bill Burr, he hits for the people on the right sometimes, which such Carlin does too, and he picks fun at both of them, but you know how he's voting. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like when it comes down to how he's voting, I know how he votes. Like Carlin would be, the right would still like him because you know that he'd be doing some like people are so fucking insensitive shit. But at the end of the day, he ain't voting for fucking Trump. He would hate that motherfucker worse than anyone on earth hates that motherfucker.
I mean, he probably did.
He did. No, he did.
Yeah, I bet because I mean, Trump was around and was famous for a big chunk of his later life. I imagine he
had bits. Yes, dude. Of course he did. I mean, even if he didn't say his name personally, like I've heard George Carlin speak many times about silver spoon motherfuckers who were born on third base, thought they hit a triple, and are corrupting the world and are taking all of our money and getting us to argue with ourselves while they pick our fucking pockets. Like that's who he's talking about. He's not talking about Bernie.
No.
Anyway.
What else you got in This Week in Fancy?
This Week in Fancy. So this is just a rumor, and I would like to say that this is just a rumor. Rumor bordering on conspiracy. However, when I look at things that are conspiracies, I look at them and immediately go, okay, follow the money, follow the logic. Is there something here? Is this true? Could it be true? Whatever. And most conspiracies, as soon as you use the phrase follow the money and you find out that you can't, I can go, well, that's not true. Like there's no reason for this to have happened. Nobody gains anything. Nobody's conspiring to not accomplish something. So what the fuck would that be? But with this one, it was interesting because, and this pertains to Diddy, who we talked about on Well Read quite a bit, but we didn't talk about him on this show, which I think it fits this show more than anything. These like super extravagant sex parties. And I mean, he's a fucking billionaire, dude.
Right.
But I saw this thing earlier. We talked about when Diddy's house got raided, the FBI confiscated 1,000 bottles of baby oil, right? And I remember
like lube, right?
Lube.
Specifically, was it specifically baby oil? Or
I think the headline I saw was baby oil, and my brain was just like, well, they're using that for lube or whatever. But like,
because baby oil is, I guess there's some plausible deniability there, right?
Sure. Well,
people use baby oil for stuff. Like I don't know about black
lube
people.
is also
crazy white ladies used to use baby oil for like sun. And all kinds of
when they would tan, they would use that instead of
advanced cancer, just like fucking expedite cancer as quickly as possible.
Yes. And we have
you still don't
baby
need
oil
1,000 bottles of it, but I thought it was literally like fucking, butthole lube 3,000, like fucking just
right. But the thing about it is like butthole lube 3,000 is still perfectly legal to have. Like,
yeah,
I know what he's accused of and stuff like that, but that stuff can be involved in a crime, but having it is not in itself a crime. And also, why confiscate it, right? Like, what does it matter? Like, what are you doing with it? And this person had proposed this theory because they'd been researching doing their own research or whatever, that, yeah, it says on surface level, like they confiscated all this baby oil. So everybody's like, God damn, that's weird to have all that baby oil. Like, it's legal, but it's weird. But they were like, have you wondered like why they would confiscate it? Because like, why would they take shampoo? Why would they take this? And they were talking about how HGH in one of its forms is oily, right? And that they're proposing that the reason they confiscated it is because they had a suspicion that it wasn't just baby oil. It was HGH concentrated in baby oil. And what HGH is, it's human, not HGH,
TRT,
GBH,
okay,
GHB,
okay, the date rape drug.
My bad. Yeah,
I thought
GHB,
you were talking like steroid stuff, and I was
no. I'm so sorry. But see, the thing is, GHB, where it is the date rape drug in certain doses and quantities, if you're taking it like that,
it just hits.
It is. Yeah, it hits. It gives you a big euphoric high.
It's a party. It's a party drug in certain doses, but in other doses it'll knock you out and people date rape people and stuff.
And in some doses, it's used kind of like how testosterone and steroids are used, like because wrestlers got a hold of it because they were like, oh, this can help you work out and recover and stuff like that. But then they found out if they took a lot of it, it was basically like a drug, right? And so in some forms,
I bet it didn't take wrestlers long
no time
to figure that out.
Time.
Fucking
no time, bro. But
just date raping themselves within
they did, dude.
They
did. They would do it to their buddies just to like see what would happen. Like they would call it H bombing. Right? Yeah. They would call it H bombing, and like not even like it's not like they would do it to someone and then be like, "Hey, go rape Triple H." Right. It was they would just want to see them pass out and say wild shit at the bar, so they would H bomb them. And like the dudes would get H bombed, and the next day wake up and be like, "Ah,
you got me good, you got me good, brother."
Hey. But anyways, they were talking about how in some of its forms, if you use it in oil, it can be secreted through the skin and stuff like that. And that's an easy way to get people unknowingly on it. So like you have a party and you're like, everybody lube up, right? And everybody's on fucking GHB like crazy. And so they're more susceptible to, I guess, get their butts fucked or fuck a butt of someone they're not supposed to.
I don't know how this is going to sound, but I feel like if
I'm not saying it's true, by the way.
I feel like even if it is, I'm saying I feel like if you at a big party like a Diddy party,
and someone says put oil on,
and then they say, "Hey, everybody get oiled up," and you're like, "Hell yeah, oil me up."
Yeah,
I mean, you're probably there to get some.
Couldn't agree more.
Dick and butt stuff. I would imagine.
Agree more.
And in that case, it's like, and look, you should never drug people that don't know they're being drugged, whether you're wrestlers or Diddy or anybody. You shouldn't do that. But don't get me wrong. But I'm just saying, if the goal was like, but just make people to lose their inhibitions, harder,
it seems like they were already gone.
It'll make it more of a Roman Bacchanalia type vibe.
Yeah.
Even though we're all here to lube up and butt fuck, right?
Right.
This will make it hit harder for everybody.
Right.
That seems like just some kind of emperor type shit to me. Again, that's wild. You're not doing it. I'm not defending it. I'm just saying, I mean, in the context of a massive billionaire sex party,
right?
That sounds like some pretty down the fairway shit to me.
Well, I agree to a certain. Well, I agree to a certain degree that those people were 100% signed up to do some type of sexual stuff, but maybe the point was that the GHB would then get them to do things that they otherwise wouldn't have done.
Yeah, like Meek Mill showed up like, I'm going to fuck a bunch of girls tonight, and then he's got like, GHB. Next thing you know, he's getting his butt fucked. He's like, I didn't know I was going to get my butt fucked.
You know what I mean? Like, but like, dude, because like, it's not like, when people have orgies and sex parties, there's still safe words for a reason.
Right.
Just because you're into one thing doesn't mean you're into all of it.
I mean, as I understand it, that's like the number one overarching philosophy of that world, the sex party, sex club, orgy world, is, consent or whatever. I've heard people
Some people
talk
like
about
to
it.
get choked, but don't just choke
Right.
me.
We've got friends and shit. People I've heard talk about going to sex clubs and stuff, like with their girls or whatever. And, dudes will just walk up with their dicks out or be whatever and be like, so what's up? Can I can I fuck her or whatever?
Right.
And he's like, no, I don't think so, buddy. And he's like, okay, cool. Have a good one.
Yeah, right.
And he just walks
right on,
off.
Just
it's
asking.
Yeah, no problem. No foul. Thought that might be what you guys like,
Yeah.
You look like a huge cuck, he said to our friend, and that's why I asked you that. No, he didn't actually say that, but it seems to be implied. But
I got one more thing. I got one more thing. I had like 4 videos, but I'm only going to do one because we need to move on to your thing. But I'm choosing this one specifically because it kind of fits what we're already talking about. But do you remember that dude from he had that VH1 show called The Pickup Artist? His name was his name was like, I don't know, like The Machine or something like that. He had a weird name.
He had put out a book, right? That he's the dude that came up with, or at least popularized negging, isn't he?
Negging, yeah.
Yeah. So that was a thing when I was dating pre-Katie. I was in my 20s. I was broing out. I was in a fraternity. That's when that guy was the thing. And I then was like, this dude is the biggest fucking tool I've ever seen in my entire life. Because he used to wear that big stupid hat and all this shit.
Yeah, his name was Mystery. That's what it was, Mystery.
And even back then, I was like,
me too.
This is super R-worded. Dude, and also, not tooting my own horn here, but I was doing just fine. I wasn't having I didn't need any.
Me too.
I know you didn't. I didn't need any help in that arena, but so when that guy was popular, I was like, what the fuck is it? Who is this?
I was about to say,
I never understood that guy.
Yeah, I was about to say, I thought he was full of shit, even though, I definitely, because I was young and stupid, I was definitely his target demo, but then I'm thinking about it, and I'm like, no, I wasn't, because, I didn't have to use no lines. I was a funny,
on your own.
Yeah, I wasn't bad looking. Right. I was funny. He was nice.
A precursor. He tapped into a precursor of this whole incel thing that's big today. That's a big problem today. Same, what Andrew Tate taps into and shit now. All these, that guy was like a precursor to all of that way back then.
Well, all right. So I'm about to show you something, and I didn't realize that this guy was still. I mean, listen, I say he's still doing it. He's on Instagram. He's got 40,000 followers. And he's just making videos now, spilling his bullshit. I'm assuming to sell books or whatever. But to me, I saw this video and it's so clear that you know how it's you spend your whole life writing your first album. And then after that, it's God damn, I got to come up with more shit. It's this is the Russell Brand equivalent of that's just talking to a lady. You know what I mean? But anyways, look at this shit and be pissed off like I am.
This is a gambit that I've used on bartenders, for instance, that I think is really handy. I've memorized it. It goes like this. You know what sucks? The very thing that's allowed you and I to meet just now is the very thing that'll keep us from ever getting to know each other. You know what that is? Well, you're at work. If it weren't for work, you wouldn't be here. If it weren't for my friends dragging me out, I wouldn't be here either. So we have to appreciate that we had a chance to meet because of them, and because of work. But again, it's the same thing that'll ever keep us from getting to know each other. Because you got to get back to work, and as you can see, I got to rejoin my friends. But we're pretty socially savvy. If we wanted, we could figure a way around it. Any ideas? That's all I have to do. Any ideas? And usually they write their number on the back of a receipt and hand it to me.
Bro.
And that's a bartender.
As somebody who
quick there.
I worked in a bar, a college bar. Katie was a bartender when we met, and I was a substitute bartender.
Yeah.
I just feel like he ain't getting 7 words into that before the bartender's like, so what did you what was your order? What was your order again? Yeah, because they have a fucking job. No bartender has time to sit and listen to that unless it's one of those sad dive bars that divorce guys go into and get their cigarettes lit by usually an old retired cop bartender.
Right.
You know what I mean? But that ain't the kind of hot girl bartenders, those places, they don't have time to sit and listen. Plus also hot girl bartenders. That's all that ever happens to them is dudes they all day, every day. They have
Right.
dudes hitting on them and trying all that type of shit. And that he just did is a 0% chance of cutting through the deluge of you know, broy bullshit that they have to put up with on a daily basis. In my opinion.
It's not even just that, which that is true, but like he's acting like it's a trick. It's like that's just how you always ask for a girl's number or something like that. Like you also could have just been like, hey, by the way, it's good to see you. I'm really interested. Can I get your number and we can talk sometime? I guarantee you they would like that more than just being like, so, you know, the thing that's keeping us apart is actually the thing that brought us together.
Well, to him, that's what the gambit or the angle is. It's like he thinks it is like Russell Brand. It's like Russell Brand thinks he's having all these grand insights about the Bible because he's just now learning about the Bible, but he's just saying the most obvious shit about it that even a Bible dumb motherfucker like me could tell you. It's a version of that with this dude where it's like he thinks that whole like the very thing that has brought us together is the self same thing that will keep us apart. He thinks that is like a like whoa
revelatory
moment.
Yeah.
Like wow, this guy's deep and insightful and shit. Like that's what he thinks the hook is. But I'm saying ain't no bartender got time for that shit. Plus it's not that anyway.
I'm not. You're right. And I'm not trying to be all like white knighty, like I'm one of the good guys. I'm not. I'm a piece of shit, you know? But it's like, it's just so goddamn creepy. It's so goddamn creepy. And like, dude, even back in my day when I picked up women or whatever, like never once was I like, I need to trick a lady into getting with me. Like that wasn't like part of it for me was like, if we connect, we connect. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to lie and tell her I got a different job. Like, I'll just be myself. And if she likes that and she smiles at me, I might be like, okay, this is my chance. Hey, would you like to go somewhere? That's it. Like, what are you fucking talking about?
There's one of the many funny bits on Sam Morril's newest special. He said that he was on the New York City subway and a clearly crazy homeless man made eye contact with him.
Yeah.
And he said that that's the closest he's come to knowing what it feels like to be a woman in a bar, right? With just like any man at all. It's like, it's true. Like, oh no, I accidentally made eye contact. Now he's coming over here. I didn't want that. That's the opposite of what I wanted. Oh no. And then he comes over there and he like touches him and all this stuff. He tags it a million more times like he does. And it's very good. Ooh. But anyway, fuck that dude. That
we need to take a break, bro.
Yeah, let's take a break. When we come back, we'll talk about. Well, I think what's going to happen because of the specific subject matter here is we're both, and especially you, are going to get fired up about woke shit, which we try not to do, but we're about to, I think. All right.
That's fine.
We'll be right back after this.
Y'all, they say that first impressions are important. Well, what about lasting impressions? That's where BlueChew comes in. BlueChew helps give men longer lasting and stronger erections so that you can perform at your very best. BlueChew is an online service that delivers the same active ingredients as Viagra, Cialis, Levitra, all that good stuff, but fraction of the cost, and it's chewable. Tastes kind of good, too. The process is simple. Sign up at BlueChew.com, consult with one of their licensed medical providers, and once you're approved, you'll receive your prescription within days. BlueChew tablets are made in the USA and prepared and shipped directly to your door. Best part, done online, baby. No more visits to the doctor's office, no more awkward wiener conversations, no more waiting in line at the pharmacy. Where, by the way, I know my pharmacist, so I would not want to do that. And you can take them anytime, day or night. So plan ahead, or you can be ready when an opportunity arises. Boy, talking about your wiener. A lot of people ask me, they're like, Corey, does it work? And I'm like, dude, it makes my wiener harder than having to do ads without Trae Crowder here with me. Try it for a month for free, by the way, and you're going to see. You're going to love it. Your partner's going to love it. Amber likes it better than I do. You could be missing out on the best sex of your life. All right? Huge fan. There's a lot of people that are like, but I don't need that. Like, I don't have any issues. Doesn't matter, right? Barry Bonds was knocking out home runs before. Then he knocked out home runs after a lot better. It's just that extra confidence because you need confidence where it counts. Nothing is sexier. And we've got a special deal for our listeners. Try BlueChew for free when you use our promo code POA at checkout. Just pay $5 shipping. That's BlueChew.com. Promo code POA to receive your first month absolutely free. Visit BlueChew.com for more details and important safety information. And we thank BlueChew for sponsoring the podcast. Skew!
All right, y'all. When I was a kid, I loved eating cereal. Of course, I did. I was a fat kid, so you know I was real into it. As a kid, I was like, shoo, wait, look at this bowl of cookies. I love it. As an adult, though, I look at that and I'm like, God damn, that's a bowl of cookies. I can't just eat a bowl of cookies. When you get to be an adult, you know, you don't need all that sugar, right? Cereals don't have protein in them. You're trying to get swole. You know what I'm saying, bro? It's just a shame how cereals be when you're an adult and you realize all that about it. But then I found Magic Spoon, a nostalgically delicious cereal that tastes just like my childhood favorites, but without the sugar and with a ton of protein. And if you're already a Magic Spoon fan, I got big news for you. Magic Spoon has turned their super popular cereal into high protein treats that are light, crispy, and taste just like those classic crunchy cereal bars. Magic Spoon's brand new treats are so delicious and have already become one of my favorites before the gym snacks. That's right. You know, I get up, I'm going to do a little lifting. You shouldn't do that on an empty stomach, but I don't want to eat too much either because it bogs me down. These Magic Spoon treats, man, I grab one of the chocolate deals out of there, maybe the peanut butter one, throw that down, and I feel like I can bench more. I probably can't. I'm not that strong, but it makes me feel like I can because I got something on my stomach and it doesn't, you know, make me sluggish. It's like energy, it gives me actual energy. Okay, for the cereal, every serving of Magic Spoon cereal has 13 grams of protein, 0 grams of sugar, and 4 grams of net carbs, so you can feel good about what you're eating. The most popular flavors are fruity and cocoa, and there are so many more. As far as the treats, Magic Spoon's brand new treats are crispy, crunchy, airy, and an easy way to get 12 grams of protein on the go. And for the first time ever, Magic Spoon treats are available in grocery stores with delicious flavors like marshmallow and chocolatey peanut butter. Like I said, I love they taste good. They got a great texture to them, and they feel like they give you clean, you know, nice energy without slowing you down. Perfect for before a workout or after a workout, whichever one, or both. Hell, why not? They hit, these Magic Spoon treats. They truly do. So get $5 off your next order at magicspoon.com/POA, or look for Magic Spoon on Amazon or in your nearest grocery store. That's magicspoon.com/POA for $5 off. Magic Spoon, hold on to the dream. All right, so we talk about movies a lot on here. Movies are fancy. Hollywood's fancy. It definitely fits the bill. I was like on Reddit earlier or something, and something got brought up about, I think it was, you know, Mickey Rooney's character in Breakfast at Tiffany's, right?
Pretty rough.
He plays a Japanese
He
man. He
literally does it.
Yeah, it's like hardcore yellow face. It's like broadly considered one of the, you know, most regrettable scenes
in an otherwise great movie, which
in
sucks.
Cinematic history.
Yeah.
So it gets brought up a lot, and it got brought up, and it made me think. I was like, man, I bet you there's some like old forgotten examples of that type of, like, that one's famous.
Right. It's famous because the movie hits.
But I bet there's some ones that people don't remember no more that were truly insane examples of, like, goddamn, what were they thinking? That is horrifically offensive, whatever. And so I tried to Google that, and I know you're like, oh, this hits. Okay, but instead I found this article. This was the top result on Google, right? And I did go on to find a couple examples of what I was looking for, and I'll get to that later. But the first thing I found was this article, and I thought I had nailed it because it said the most offensive movies of all time, right? Or whatever. And it's from
Birth of a Nation.
It's from that one's on here, and that one's fair. Birth of a Nation is like, that's another one. It's like that one's remembered because yes, that one too. See, both of those are like cinematic masterpieces, but you know they're horrifically racist, especially Birth of the Nation, which is just like a hey, Klan hits as a movie. Yeah, right. You know, as I understand.
And Gone with the Wind, which is slavery was fine. They liked it.
Right. Yeah. Yes, both of those are on here. But anyway, this is from The Independent, the UK magazine or whatever, you know, The Independent. They've been around for a long time.
Even better.
And it's from like 3 weeks ago, about a month ago, late August of 2024. So this is like recent.
I'm about to be pissed, ain't I?
Very much so. Very much so. Because it's called the 19...
If they stay blazing saddles, I'm going to walk out of this fucking room.
I can't even remember. Actually, I don't know. It might, we'll just dive into, but almost none of these are going to hit for you. Because again, I was like, Birth of a Nation, fine. Breakfast at Tiffany's, fine.
I'll try to play devil's advocate.
Gone with the Wind, fine. Right? But this article is called The 19 Most Problematic Movies Ever Made. From Once Upon a Time in Hollywood to Forrest Gump, right?
Yeah. No.
Yeah,
hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on. Hold on. I literally just said I'm going to play devil's advocate. I was hoping for I was like, well, they're going to be about stuff from the 80s that I'm going to be like, well, okay, in hindsight. What the fuck? What is wrong with that goddamn movie? Because Brad Pitt says don't cry in front of the fucking Mexicans. Like, who gives a shit? Also, I'm saying, dude, it's depicting a different bygone time. If anything was offensive, it was played for fucking irony, much like all of Quentin Tarantino's oeuvre.
So this is like, again, I hate it when comedians bitch about woke stuff and cancel culture and shit like that. It's so hacky and overdone. But every now and then, I'll run into something where I'm like, man, the papaws ain't wrong about all of it.
Well, you know why?
This article, dude, is the most performatively woke horse shit I've ever seen. So many of these movies on this list, and we'll go through them in a minute, but it's just like, dude, you're giving us all a bad name with this shit. Are you kidding me with some of this? This is exactly the type of thing that I tell people we don't actually do.
Right. And that's why it pisses me off.
So when people come out and actually do it, I'm like, bro.
Right.
What are you doing?
I know, because I'm like, this is the reason that those people think you're a bunch of pussies that can't handle anything. And it's like you're feeding right into that shit. Like, there is bad stuff. Talk about that. Don't reach.
And by the way, this was written by a man, not a woman. I don't know I'm not sure what the pronouns are.
When you said it was from England, I knew it could have been a man, because a British man, American woman.
Sure.
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
So he starts out by talking about how, look, social standards change over the years. He says, for example, the jazz singer, right, used which was the first ever talkie, Al Jolson,
blackface.
Uses blackface, but at that time when that came out, that was just like a completely normal and accepted thing.
What's interesting about blackface at that time, I'm not saying it's right, but what's interesting is, like, Bob Hope performed in blackface, but he didn't do stereotypical black stuff. He just did Bob Hope stuff while in blackface. Like, and I remember hearing him one time talk about it, and like Bob Hope admitted, like, that was a weird part of the time. I can't believe we did that. But in he explained why he did it, and he's like, man, at that time, wearing blackface was just what everyone did. So it's like you just did. It was kind of like, he said it was the same thing as like smoking a cigar. Like, every comedian smoked a cigar, even if they didn't smoke a cigar, because it was just like, that's what you do. You put on the shoe polish and you go do your thing. And like, he even admits, like, that was weird. But like, again, he didn't fucking put on the shoe polish and then go, hello, my baby, hello, my darling, hello, my like, he just did his act.
So this guy starts out by pointing out, social standards change. He brings up the jazz singer, whatever. He says, it was fine then, but now it's mortifying. This happens. And then he says, and I quote, Cho, other films, of course, are problematic the moment they hit cinemas. For example, Quentin Tarantino's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And then he does not elaborate right there.
Okay, see, fuck him for that. You've got to tell me what.
I'll get to it, because it's in the form of a list. Internet articles. You got to be a list.
Right.
List
has to be a list.
So he sets it up and he mentions that, but then he goes into the list and it's on down the list. So the first one on here is so it says here are 19 of the most problematic films ever made, and he doesn't number them. So I'm not sure if this is in any order. A Clockwork Orange is the first one, and
okay, I hadn't seen it in a long time, but like, it's old. Who knows?
Well, it's real fucked up. But the thing is, it's like, it's supposed to be real. That's the whole fucking point of the movie, and it was fucked up when it came out. That's another good example of, like, I've talked so much about my dad. Dude, my dad probably showed me Clockwork Orange when I was maybe 12, and he's like, you gotta see this, boy, like. And that's a fucking wild movie.
Was it James Cagney that they did in Clockwork Orange? They did a clip of a James Cagney movie thing. Oh yeah. And so they
rape a lady viciously while doing a dance and dance number.
So it's not James Cagney. It's Gene Kelly. So Gene Kelly, apparently, he is at the Oscars the year that Clockwork Orange came out, and he sees Michael McDowell, who was the star.
Malcolm McDowell,
who was the star of Clockwork Orange. And they were all huge fans of Gene Kelly and Singing in the Rain, which is why they put it in there. And he says that Gene Kelly came up to him and he's like, "Are you the boy from Clockwork Orange?" And he's expecting to have this nice conversation. He goes, yes, I am. And Gene Kelly just went, and just walked off. Like he hated it so much that his movie was sullied in that way. And I'm like, bro, like it's just game recognized game. Singing in the Rain's the best movie ever made, which I personally think that.
I mean, you know, that's some real papal stuff. Like I'm trying to think of like, you know, like a papal who made a real wholesome type thing.
Yeah, and he did. And like, movies were different
back then. The kids come along and turn it into rape monster stuff.
Yeah, no, I get it.
And he's like, you know, he ain't cool enough. He's a papal. He's not.
Right.
He's not hip. He's not with it. He doesn't get the transgressive nature of it and why it.
He also probably didn't get paid.
Countercultural and it hits and all this stuff. You know, what'd you say?
I said he also probably didn't get paid and he was pissed off. You know what I mean?
Right. Next on the list, and we talked about this on a podcast we did recently. We were guests on. One of my previous all-time favorites, American Beauty, is next on the list. And so, like,
okay, I understand
that. Okay.
But because here's what they say:
I
know that doing something wrong.
Well, first of all, we all know Kevin Spacey. You know,
right?
He don't
separate
hit no
that.
More. He don't hit for no. We should say that's what I'm saying. First, I think you should separate it. I feel like people are not entirely. Because also,
who did that movie? Was it Fincher?
No, Sam Mendes, who hits real hard. Sam Mendes
and he
made
didn't
a ton
know
of
that.
Great movies.
It's not like he put known rapist Kevin Spacey in it.
But Kevin Spacey, I think it's a double whammy of like Kevin Spacey, the man, is rapey as fuck and a villain now,
right?
But so also the character he plays in that movie is creepy.
Sympathetic.
Lester is creepy, except. So this is what, because people are always like, you know, he plays a father of a teenage daughter who tries to fuck his daughter's friend, a 16-year-old girl, and he's going through a midlife crisis and he's in his 40s. And it's like, yeah,
right.
That don't hit. You ought not do that. But he don't do it.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Like like, that's part of again, he's going through this midlife crisis trying to figure things out, you know, confronting the facade of the American dream and all this shit and dealing with it. And then but in the end, he like does the right thing,
right? And the point of the movie is not that would be a fine thing to do.
Yeah, like, it's not that it's the point of the movie is not fucking teenagers hits, you know. But Tora Birch was in that movie. She was 16 years old in real life, and she shows her titties in that movie.
Oh, what? She was 16 when she showed them titties?
Yeah, which means like her parents had to. I think her parents are famously the type. They're like, yeah, you can fuck her, you can do whatever you want with her. I'm pretty sure they were that type
insane.
Of like stage parents.
Hold on.
I could be wrong, allegedly.
No,
or just not even allegedly. But
first off, I would like to say that when I saw that movie, I was totally allowed to look at 16-year-old titties.
13, 14. Yeah, right. Exactly.
So that was fine. That was totally fine. But like, I understand like your parents let you drive, but I don't think you should be able to get a permission slip for what is essentially child porn.
When we get to some of the movies that I think should have been on this list later, you ain't going to believe some of that shit as far as what you just said.
Right.
But anyway,
Natalie Portman and Leon. I guarantee you, Leon's on here.
Actually, I don't think it is.
The Professional's not on here.
No,
that's
but
way
also
rougher than American Beauty.
So The Professional, just so everybody knows, reportedly Luc Besson, who is a known sex pest in real life and who really did marry a teenager when he was like 30 something or whatever. He wanted to make The Professional way more Lolita-y than it is, and Jean Reno like reined it in, dude. When you got a Frenchman being like, "This is too much," you know, then like
that's pretty rough.
That's rough. But anyway,
sacre bleu.
Yeah, but anyway, American Beauty. This was my favorite movie for so long when I was younger.
Movie's great,
and I just still think that it hits, and I can't help it. It's like I said, we were on that other podcast when Wes Bentley, when that movie came out, and I was a fucking trash bag kid, you know, poor pillbilly mama, all this stuff, and he's like smart and artsy and shit. And when he shows up at the end of that movie and goes up to Tora Birch's room, and he's like, if I had to go to New York tonight, would you come with me? And she's like, what? Yeah. He's like, if I had to go to New York to live tonight, would you come with me? And she's like, yeah, like that. As teenage me, I just was.
Yeah, it was very Goodwill Hunting-y.
Yeah, right. And I just loved that so much.
Also, can I point out, not that it matters to what you're saying, but Chris Cooper was a revelation in that movie.
So great.
He's
dude.
the best.
When does he ever not hit? But
I know, but I think when it comes to like that guy from That Thing, Chris Cooper might be the top of. He's at the top of that list of, because like not a lot of people know Chris Cooper's name. He is that guy from That Thing. He's unbelievable, man. He's never not hit, because he can do that role, and he turned right around. And what was his next movie? The fucking Patriot. You know what I mean? Like,
he's also maybe the best part of A Time to Kill. He fucking hit so hard for me in that movie, where he gets up there and you think he's going to be a racist redneck, but he starts calling Samuel L. Jackson a hero and everything. Yeah. He's like, you turn him loose. You turn him loose.
That movie, son.
Anyway, this list is in alphabetical order. So next up is Birth of a Nation. Again, fine. Breakfast at Tiffany's, fine. After that, Dumbo, right? And Dumbo is on here for, of course, the infamous talking crows. Now, here's the thing about the crows, the racist crows. Like,
they were played by black dudes.
And they are like heroic characters in that movie. Like, they're good guys, right? And it's like, I know that, again, through the lens of today, it's like a really on the nose stereotype of black people at the time. And I know that, but like, dude, I sound like a stereotype. We know people that are full blown, like, stereotypes do exist in the 1940s. There were black people in the world who really talked like that. And they have these characters in the movie. And again, they're good. They're good characters. They're not shady or shitty. They're like on Dumbo's side. They treat him well. They're nice. And it's like, so, you know, even that is like, I mean, it's forgivable to me.
I'm not saying that what happened wasn't that the directors were like, black it up. I'm not saying they didn't, but you also got to understand that a lot of times in movies, actors, voice actors or whatever, are allowed choices. Like, it's possible that those dudes were like, here's the character, this is how I'm going to play it. You know what I mean? They might have, I don't know that happened, but like, that does happen where an actor is just like, this is my interpretation of this. And if that was those guys' interpretation of that, how could you call that wrong?
Right. Next up, I actually never saw, even though it is iconic, the 1980 version of Flash Gordon. Did you ever see Flash Gordon?
No, I didn't. That's George Lucas, right? Because that was his like.
No, I don't think that he actually made it. Did he? It's just.
Oh no, you're right. That was like his passion project for a long time, but he never got it made.
Flash Gordon was based on these famous serials from back in the day, like when George Lucas was a kid, and it was like his all-time favorite shit. So Flash Gordon's like his biggest influence of like ever.
Right.
But
like he just made Star Wars into Flash Gordon.
The villain in Flash Gordon is named Ming the Merciless, and he's definitely kind of like Japanese coded, but he's not. He's a fucking alien. He's a space alien or whatever.
Kind of like George Lucas's dudes in Star Wars.
Kind of like that, yeah. And Max von Sydow plays him, and I guess they're calling that racist. But I watched the clip on YouTube, and he does not use any kind of voice like that at all. He's like, "What have you? You know, you've come to the wrong place, Flash Gordon." That type of thing. He just sounds British and villainous. He doesn't sound Japanese.
I'll be fair. Because I've never seen that movie, I can't comment on it. Like, I don't know. I assume it's bullshit because this guy so far is striking out.
Right. You know? Next up, Forrest Gump. People talk about Forrest Gump all the time. What's funny about this?
He's a white savior.
In this little blurb here where he talks about Forrest Gump, he says, Forrest Gump could well be one of the most problematic films ever made. And that sentence, one of the most problematic films ever made, is a hyperlink. And when you click that hyperlink, it goes to another article in the Independent with the headline, "Leave Forrest Gump alone. Tom Hanks's Oscar-winning character doesn't deserve the stigma." Right? Well, so it's like he's contradicting himself with a source from his own outlet in the middle of talking shit about Forrest Gump, and I just don't get that. Well, does it hit for you or not hit for you? What are you saying?
Well, this is funny because, like, I guess this is how stupid I am, but when you said Forrest Gump, my brain didn't even remotely go to that's not a good way to depict a mentally handicapped person. My first thought was like, he's a white savior and Bubba is the, you know, whatever. No. Like, that's what I thought. But
he says, dude, whether we're talking about Tom Hanks's broad, cartoonish portrayal of a man with learning disabilities, the film's puritanical slut shaming of Robin Wright's Jenny, or everything to do with its handling of race, Forrest Gump is one rancid box of chocolates.
Hold on a second. No one's problem with Jenny was that she slept around. It's that she fucked Forrest over and had an AIDS baby. Okay? Like, what are you talking about? Here's why I hate this fucking bullshit right here. Because it's the insinuation that there's never been such thing as a piece of shit woman. Because there very much has been.
Okay. See, but this, I don't give a fuck about puritanical slut shaming, and I love Forrest Gump, and I think the movie rules, and fuck this dude. I'm not defending this dude at all.
Robert Zemeckis,
but I've always thought that, Robert Zemeckis. I've always thought that with Jenny, it became a big time thing, a big meme to be like, man, fuck Jenny, right? And it's like, but
yeah,
bro, that movie opens with establishing that her daddy be raping her.
Yeah, of course. She's
real fucked up herself.
And guess what happens a lot of times?
She makes a lot of mistakes, but I think she does love Forrest. I was never on the like, man, fuck Jenny's ass.
Well, for the record, I wasn't when I first saw it. You're right, it's become a thing.
Right, but which I don't entirely agree with, but I also don't agree with this dude about any of what he said. I fucking love Forrest Gump. I've been thinking lately, like, when
it's a great movie.
Forrest Gump to the boys, because I really hit so hard.
And I don't think. Listen, again, I'm not as well. I don't know. I have people in my family who are special needs, which I know that doesn't mean I get to be like I'm the judge and executioner of what you can or can't do. But like, I thought his representation was honorable. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, he was sweet. And also, by the way, Forrest is the hero.
Absolutely.
He invested in Apple, bro.
He's like the greatest hero of all time in that movie.
Right. Right. If anything, they're saying, look at these people. They can accomplish more than we ever could.
Yeah. Next up, Gone with the Wind. Fine.
Yeah.
Next up, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom.
I agree.
Temple's portrayal of
India is rife with troubling and outdated stereotypes, leading to the film being banned in India when it was released. And Kate Capshaw's Willie Scott is every bit the problematic damsel in distress. That movie don't hit for me. I
love the first and the third one, for the record.
I like the first one, and weirdly, the most I thought the newest one they did was charming.
I still haven't seen it. I'm sure it's good.
I was expecting to hate it because I watched it because the boys, like Indiana Jones, but I found it delightful, frankly. Yeah. I really enjoyed the newest one. And I love the first one. All the rest of the movies, I can fucking
here's the thing.
At best, they kind of don't hit for me.
I'm not coming at it.
Some of them super. Crystal Skull is one of the worst goddamn movies I've ever seen.
Yeah, I've never seen it.
Life, but
I've never seen it.
But the other two is just like nah at best.
Luckily, I almost saw Crystal Skull as soon as it came out, but then I didn't, and I got the word on the street, and I was like, well, I'm not wasting 2 hours of my life on that shit. But I genuinely think that the first Indiana Jones is one of the greatest movies of all time. Hot take. It's amazing. So I went into Temple of Doom being like, I love Indiana Jones. I don't like the movie. And I didn't, for the record, I did not like the movie because of how racist it was, but the movie didn't hit. And therefore I was like, this is also pretty racist. you know?
Okay. Next up, the jazz singer. Fine. Everybody knows that and why.
Agreed.
Next up, Last Tango in Paris. This one comes up a lot too. Now, here's the thing. Okay.
The thing that they're mad about didn't even have anything to do with the movie.
But so for y'all that don't know, years after this movie, after Last Tango in Paris came out, starring Marlon Brando and Maria Schneider, years later, Maria Schneider in an interview told the story about how there's a rape scene in the movie where his character rapes her character and uses a stick of butter as lube, right?
Yeah.
And
he did it.
And people think that she ain't know that was going to happen, right? And even though he don't really rape her, of course, it's it's faked. She ain't even know none of that was going to happen, and so she was traumatized by it.
Because their thing was, we want the reaction.
And when that happened, people were furious. They're like, "What the fuck?" And then the director of the movie responded to it and was like, "Yeah, well, no, I did that on purpose because I wanted a real reaction." And people were like, "That's way fucking worse, bro."
Right.
And it's
all
of which is true, but the only but is it seems to me that some people think that because apparently
according to the director and Brando, and also everything that I could find about it, it was in the script. It was planned the whole time, and the only thing that was changed about the scene was that he like had the stick of butter, but he didn't actually like do anything, real with it or to her, right? As I understand, it's all simulated. And so I've never really understood exactly what even happened, like, because it feels like there's like conflicting versions of it. But it's the type of like psycho director shit that I feel like they used to do all the time. I feel like Hitchcock did that type of shit. Kubrick did that shit all the time. And I think that it's psychotic of all of them.
Oh, yeah. Kubrick ruined Mary Shelley, dude. Or not Mary Shelley, but Shelley Duvall. I was thinking of Frankenstein. Yeah. No, Shelley Duvall.
But anyway, all right. Lawrence of Arabia, considered one of the greatest movies of all time. Don't hit for this guy because it's problematic white savior narratives.
Right. Well, hell, you could, dude. If you're going to go with that, then that list should be way longer.
I know,
because that happens a lot.
I'm not a huge Woody Allen guy, but I know you are. Manhattan is on here. I've never seen it. I've seen a lot. His biggest movies. I know it's a big one, but.
Yeah, no, I've seen Manhattan because again, not now, but I love.
According to this, he's a 42-year-old in that movie, and he gets with a 17-year-old high school girl.
Oh, okay. You know what?
True. I've never seen it.
No, I think I do think that is true. The thing is, like when I saw Manhattan, I was probably in high school. Not that I should have thought that was right in high school, but like you just don't think about shit like that. And also, like, I don't know that she ever explicitly. I don't remember her saying I'm 17, but like, yeah, okay, that's fair. That's totally fair.
Let me.
And it's it's such a wild choice. Make her 19, and the movie's fine.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well, but that hits for him.
Yeah, it does hit for him.
All right, let me quickly go over the other because I knew this would take a long time, but it's taking a long time. Let me quickly go over the other ones on this list very fast, and then circle back to the big one that I want you to get red in the face about. But so the other ones, Passion of the Christ, fine.
Sure.
the
they're
Jews
super
in that
Jewy,
movie,
and it's not good.
It's wild, unreal. The Jews in that movie. Looking forward to the sequel.
And he basically made the Antichrist or the devil Obama.
John Ford's The Searchers, one of the most popular westerns.
I love that movie, but it's so bad about the Indians.
Right? Yeah, bad about the Indians.
And you know what's that movie? The reason I love that movie, and like obviously none of that is good, but like John Ford in The Searchers, him and John Wayne essentially laid the groundwork for what every other Western would ever be. Like they shot that movie in Utah, and that scene, I can't remember what it's called, but like those specific cliffs, as soon as they did that right there was just a Western must have these cliffs, and everyone shot there. The movie's great, but yeah, dude, any John Wayne movie you could say the same thing about.
All right. 16 Candles, sure. This is one of those 80s set comedies. There's like straight up date rape in it. And then
Revenge of the Nerds is way worse than
way worse. Exactly. And it's not on this list, but I agree. It is way worse. Revenge of the Nerds is way worse. That's one that I was going to bring up when I've got a few I was going to mention. It's like, how are these not on the list, but some of them are? It makes me
uncomfortable.
And Revenge of the Nerds was one of the ones I was going to bring up. But okay, Trading Places.
With Eddie Murphy?
Yeah. Because the guy says there's a scene in which a character is sexually assaulted by a gorilla. However, it's the scene of Dan Aykroyd in blackface, which is the most unpalatable.
Okay, I mean, sure, but like, hold on now. Are you saying like that's offensive to gorillas? Like they would never do that? Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Yeah, they would.
Also, dude, it's Eddie Murphy vehicle. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
That was all hidden for him in that movie. Right. Do you know what I mean? Like
he probably decided to do it.
It was probably his idea, right? Yeah. Like, or at the very least, he was like, "No, that does hit."
These type of people don't understand the comedian brain. You know what I mean? Right. It's like that Chappelle when he was talking about when Michael Richards said the N-word. Right. He's like, "I found out that I was 80% comedian and 20% black guy because I was like, you'll get him next set, Kramer." Like,
Kramer's having a bad set.
Like, you just can't use that.
And then the last on the list is Zulu, which I've never seen, but apparently it's about the Anglo-Zulu War. So, it's
supposed to be horrible too, right?
I don't know. I think you're thinking of ain't there a Sean Connery movie that starts with a Z?
Yeah.
Except it starts with an X, but like it's not Xanadu. That's a different movie.
That's Citizen Kane's house.
Right. I think it's also a movie too. I think it is a 1980 movie, Xanadu, which is a musical fantasy, but that's not the Zorrock or something like that.
It's something Connery. Like that.
Zardoz. That's what,
is it Zardoz? That doesn't sound right.
That's what it is. Maybe that's not what you were thinking of, but Zardoz is like a legendarily bad movie with Sean Connery where he wears this like bandolier and Speedo combination, and he's it's wild, wildly terrible. It's like one of the most famously bad movies of all time.
Right.
So what are you thinking of then?
I'm looking for it right now because it also started with a Z, but it's not that, man. Fuck me. I'm looking. Go ahead. Ishtar. No, it's not a Z. Ishtar. It's not a Z, but it was a weird name. Ishtar. That's the one to me that was always like, I remember when I was like a kid, that was like the standard of like, if you're going to compare something to something, you'd say like, it ain't even no Ishtar or whatever the fuck.
So the last one we've already touched on, but I saved it for the end to give you his rationale for including Once Upon a Time in Hollywood on this list. I'll just read you his whole little blurb here. Quentin Tarantino is no stranger to a little controversy, and his 1960s set Hollywood epic is up there with his most provocative works. While some films stumble into their problematic reputations over time, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood was scandalizing from the get-go. As Tarantino contrived a perverse redemption arc for wife killer Cliff Booth, by having him brutally fustigate a cadre of young female assailants. So, I watched that movie in theaters when him and Leo brutally murdered them stupid hippie bitches at the end of that movie.
Hit so hard.
Everyone in there loved it. Dude, people were clapping, cheering, because they're murderers. They're in the fucking I get that they're girls, but they were there to kill a pregnant woman and a fetus. They're literally among the most infamous psychos of the past century. That's who they are in that movie. And even though the fact that they're girls doesn't change that, and when they got this shit killed out of them, it hit so hard for everyone in that theater, man and woman alike. So I don't get this dude. People like this just blow my fucking mind. I'm like,
he's looking for clicks, bro.
Yeah, I guess in that respect, I'm playing right into his hands right now. Is what we're doing.
Quentin Tarantino. That movie's hilarious, as all Quentin Tarantino
funny.
movies
That's his funniest movie, I think.
It's easily his funniest movie, and the funniest part of that movie is when the fucking dude, he goes, what was it you said? And he's like, I'm the devil, and I've come to the devil's doing. He's like, nah, it was dumber than that. And it was before all that shit, setting up that brutal murder with like the best line reading of a joke ever. Again, it would be one thing if Brad Pitt just went into a home and started murdering a bunch of young girls, but like they was trying to kill Sharon Tate, and they shot. I'm pretty sure they shoot him first.
They were there to fuck shit up.
What are you talking about? You goddamn limey dumbass! I was expecting it to be like, okay, Brad Pitt had an inappropriate relationship with that young girl. And it's like, well, first off, no, he didn't. He didn't do nothing with her. I get what you're saying, though. Like, he picks her up. He shouldn't have picked her up. Sure. I thought that's what he was going to say. And I would at least be like, all right, fair. They didn't have to do that. But it's about the murder of the Manson family.
Get the bit about him killing his wife or whatever, which, is like,
she shouldn't have been funny. Talking shit.
Yeah, that's definitely played for laughs in that movie, and it's fine. Well, it's a Tarantino movie.
It's also a little like Doubt, by the way. They don't show him doing it.
Yeah, but I didn't you read the book? I thought it said in the book.
I read in the book he definitely does it.
I'm about to say, and the book clarifies that he for sure did.
That's true. That's true. But the novelization came out after the movie, and therefore is not canon. The book is its own thing because there's certain things in the book that contradict things that happen in the movie. So it's like, those are two separate things. If you want to talk about how the fucking book is problematic, that's fine. But like, also, I mean, what? You can't murder a bitch in a movie anymore? Like,
well, I was going to say,
people still called him a piece of shit in there.
there's plenty of things in Tarantino movies that, like, if they really happened, would be fucked up, but in the movie they're funny, right? Like in Pulp Fiction, where he accidentally blows Phil Lamar's head off or whatever, right? Like when he's like talking to him, asking him a question, the gun just goes off, and it's like it's shocking. Not problematic? It's shocking, but it's like, it's funny, and it's supposed to be funny. You're like, oh shit, and you like laugh like nervously almost or whatever. Also, and he does that type of shit all the time, and the deal with Brad Pitt with Cliff and his wife, and though he may have, it's definitely meant to be funny,
right?
And
it's
is
played for a laugh because
it's like a Family Guy cutaway scene almost,
right. Let me tell you,
like her on a boat bitching her ass off or whatever.
There's one joke
he's
in that
there with
movie,
a harpoon or whatever he's doing, and it's it's meant to be funny.
There's a joke in that movie that it literally, it's like he has to have murdered her for this joke and this commentary to work out, because here's the commentary. Rick Dalton, Leonardo DiCaprio, is talking to Kurt Russell, right? And he's like, come on, man, this is my guy. He just needs some work. And he goes, he murdered his wife, and everyone here thinks so. And Rick Dalton goes, man, he's a war hero, which is essentially him being like, yeah, but I mean, he was a war hero, and Kurt Russell's like, fine, we'll get him a job, which to me, it's like, that's played as that's what we think in America. It's like, well, he did some fucked up shit, but like, he was in World War II, brother. Like, what are you going to do? Like, that made it all like, we agree that this is a bad thing, but this is how the world works. Tarantino doesn't show you the world that should be. He shows you the world that is. God damn it, you fucking Ian ass piece of shit.
Right. So
Movie
rules. I agree. Forrest Gump rules, man.
Yeah.
So when I found this article,
Time in Hollywood's better than Forrest Gump, I'll say it.
Well, yeah. I mean,
they're different things.
That's one of the reasons that people were pissed off at Forrest Gump, by the way, is because it swept Pulp Fiction, and Pulp Fiction was like the coolest thing in the world at the time, and people were like, it was like when Macklemore beat Kendrick Lamar, except there was no racial element,
or when Shakespeare in Love beat Saving Private Ryan.
Well, that was, I know I'm fucking. I'm using that as
an example to say that the Forrest Gump Pulp Fiction is not really that big of a deal when you compare it to that.
I agree. Forrest Gump
is a cultural phenomenon. I know Pulp Fiction is too, but like, come on.
Yeah, but I'm not going to necessarily put Pulp Fiction. I mean, I'm saying on a culture. I'm not saying what
Forrest Gump's way bigger.
Personal, right? On a cultural scale, cultural impact, and that type of thing. Yeah. Forrest Gump was
for
bigger
movie nerds. Pulp Fiction is the greatest thing that ever happened.
But just mainstream Americans, it's Forrest Gump. So that's fair. But not only ain't nobody putting Shakespeare in Love over Saving Private Ryan, except
it's Harvey Weinstein.
Silly girls, poetry loving girls, maybe. Anyway,
well, I mean, that's all just Harvey Weinstein being a fucking asshole and doing his politicking and shit.
That's true. I know. We talked about that.
And Steven Spielberg, I'm pretty sure I read an interview with him where he famously don't be doing that. He's like, I will let it speak for itself. Yeah. Like, I'm not going to do any of that stuff.
I'm not saying you didn't read it also somewhere, but I talked about that on this show when we.
That was what it was. Yeah. He was just like, I'll make something that hits, and if they think it hits, they'll give me the award. But I'm not.
Yeah, it was specifically. It was that year. They were like, I'm not leaving my house. When it got out that Harvey was doing all that, they came to Spielberg and they were like, you need to push back. You need to like start campaigning too or whatever, or he's going to scoop your Oscar. And he was like, fuck that. I ain't doing that. He was like,
I don't need a fucking Oscar.
He's like, that ain't how it's supposed to work. I made the movie hits. It's up to people what they think hits harder. I'm not going to shuck and jive or get down on my knees and beg and plead for it. And that's because Steven Spielberg's a G.
Right.
But anyway, so this pissed me off so much that I tried to find some other examples of movies. It's like, how in the fuck was this? Like, you put Once Upon a Time in Hollywood on this list, but not this. And I didn't even know what this would be until I started looking. And have you ever heard of Pretty Baby?
No.
It was a big deal at the time.
Pretty Woman sequel where she's Benjamin Button?
No, but what do you know about Brooke Shields?
Brooke Shields in Blue Lagoon was underage and they showed her tits. That's what I know.
Okay, Blue Lagoon came up also, and that one is a little fucked up. I don't know why Blue Lagoon. I don't know why We were talking earlier about Tora Perch's parents and them being like, yeah, do whatever to her. And it's like Brooke Shields is like the preeminent example of that, apparently.
She was, but like, and that was a way different time. Like, you would think in the 90s it changed a little bit, but like, Not at
the
all.
90s. Blue Lagoon is early 80s, I think.
I know. I'm talking about American Beauty. Like with American Beauty, it's kind of like I get. I'm not saying it's right, but I get how it happened in the 80s because everybody was on cocaine or whatever. But you would think because of Brooke Shields, then Tora Birch wouldn't happen.
So everybody talks about Brooke Shields and Blue Lagoon for some reason, but Brooke Shields also made a movie called Pretty Baby, and it's a movie where she plays the daughter of a prostitute in New Orleans, a prostitute played by Susan Sarandon, by the way.
Oh,
and
boy.
She
had them things out, I bet.
And it's like the movie, I've never seen the movie, but as I understand it, the movie is very much like, this is a hard life and an unfortunate situation, and this is the things that these girls go through, and it's bad, right?
Like the song Fancy.
So and that's the point of it. But in the movie, though, Brooke Shields, who in that movie was 12, and again, I've not seen it myself, and I don't plan to, but apparently in that movie, she's like full frontal nudity, like spread out on the couch at 12 years old. Yeah.
I mean, I'm never going to see it now.
I know, me neither.
If they do an edited version, I might see it, but I ain't looking at that on purpose.
And the other thing I'll say about that, so it's like that fucking Cliff Booth murdering these psycho hippies is worse than that shit, And I guess the guy's defense would be like, nobody's ever even heard of that movie, but I don't give a fuck.
No, fuck you, dude. One of them is fake and the women didn't get killed. The other one, a 12-year-old did show her flat chest titties. Fuck you.
So, also, Brooke Shields' parents or mama or whoever it was, in addition to that and Blue Lagoon, I think maybe even before or around the same time that she was in Pretty Baby, so we're talking 11, 12 years old, she was in fucking Playboy, full nude in Playboy, and it got printed.
At how old? At how old?
11 or 12.
What?
I don't know how. I don't know.
At least in a movie,
I think it was like, I think it was like
artsy. She's playing a character or whatever, but like,
I think I assume that's how they tried to spin it back then. Too with Playboy, it's like, no, this is art. So they probably got a Frenchman. Art. They probably got a Frenchman to photograph her or whatever. Let him talk to the police, and they were like, well, I don't know, he's French. Maybe it is art. Who knows?
It is weird. I will say this: it is odd that like there's no. Like, okay, if you see, like, the Nirvana album where the little boy has his dick out. Now, I know it's come under some scrutiny lately, but at a certain point you go, well, if they're just a baby, it don't matter. Right. And then it's like at one point we have to, and you have to go, no, they're now too old / too young. You know what I mean? Like, they're like, no, a baby's dick, who gives a shit? But if it was a 6-year-old, nah, but then if they're 12, like, it's very weird, and it don't hit for me. Just don't show fucking kids dicks and titties.
Okay, so it's even worse than I said. One caveat, though, is that it was a Playboy-owned publication called Sugar and Spice. So, yeah, right. So
that is worse.
You know what that was all about. But anyway,
I don't care for this.
It was 1976 when she was 10 years old.
Oh, boy.
And her mom signed over signed the thing saying, yeah, well, you can do this or whatever. And according to Reddit, I'm trying to look it up. It says that most of our child pornography laws we have today weren't enacted until 1996 or something. So, but this is what this dude on Reddit says. This is so Reddit. This dude responds. There's a question. It's like someone's asked, like, how the fuck was this legal? And this dude on Reddit says, she didn't pose for Playboy. She posed for a photo with Gary Gross. By the way, the guy's name was Gross. Gary, you talk about nominative determinism, bro. But anyway, this guy continues. She didn't pose for Playboy. She posed for a photo with Gary Gross, who is producing a series for a conceptual project. Paragraph break. Do you also find statues of little boys peeing into a fountain disturbing as well? Yes. Because there's literally no difference. That's what he said.
Yes, I do, by the way.
First of all,
I do find them disturbing.
Those are weird. It's like,
and we don't do them anymore. They're all old Roman shit, and
those
we know what they were up to.
But also, it is still different. They're
because it's not
made
real.
Out of stone. Right? Yeah,
right. It's a stone dick. Like it's
like
weird,
looking at
but
a
it's
gargoyle's dick or something. You know what I mean?
Right, dude. Listen, man. I know you feel the same way because you've been very protective of your kids, as you should be. there's no amount of money and there's no situation so desperate that I could be in to where I would exploit my child for anything like that. I would fucking literally push a cart around a town and pick up cans before I ever put my kid in that situation. And I don't get it. It's bad. It's evil. It's gross. And it's fucking, and yeah, again, the fucking little Roman boys pissing is weird and I don't like it, but it's fucking different.
It's also, that's one of those things I never really thought all that much about because it's just old art be that way. There's little dicks all over the place. Everybody's naked. And angels are naked. That shit's just wild. But it's art, so it's fine. I never really thought about it. And then, of all people, as you know, Louis C.K. in one of his specials.
So funny.
He brought that up out of nowhere, and he was like, yeah, like they got this sculptor, and the sculptor came out, and he's like, yeah, I was doing little boys, and they're going to be pissing. It's like, pissing on a guy that kind of looks like him, you know? Like it's like, yeah, piss, get the piss in my face or whatever.
I want to piss.
It was that. I was like, "Oh, right, that is really weird. Fucking weird."
Right? When you think about when things are so old, you just kind of give them a pass because you're like, "That didn't happen back then." But it's like, dude. But the thing is like, it's not even just that it's a child. If it had been a grown man pissing, I'd be like, "Why is this the fountain?" You know what I mean? Like, why?
All right.
Well, what if they had instead of that, they had someone diarrheaing out of their butt in the fountain?
That also would be weird.
Right, but same thing.
I found, it's anyway, some of the other ones, Cannibal Holocaust, they killed actual animals on camera in that movie. Not just killed them, but tortured them, I reckon. Tortured and killed them. It's a horror movie, and that don't. And then, you know, like shit like that, it's like, yeah, that's fucked up. And then this is nowhere near on the level of that.
Because it's real. Because it's real.
Right. This is nowhere near on the level of that, but have you ever heard of a British series of ensemble comedies called Carry On, the Carry On series?
I have not, no. And I have
apparently there's fucking 30 something of these movies that started in like the 60s and went through the 90s, I think, and it's a cool. I wish we had something like this over here, really, because it's like they have most of the same actors. Do you know what I mean?
Like an anthology type thing?
It's like a comedy anthology where all the same comedic actors get together and make movies with different settings and premises and stories, but they're all comedies. And that sounds rad to me. It's like,
I love that.
You know, like the closest way
Danny McBride like kind of be doing that.
The MCU. Yeah, you're right. Well, they did. Yeah, the Seth Rogen, Danny McBride, fucking Judd Apatow, they were kind of on that tip for a while.
Yeah.
But these fuckers did it for 30-something years and 30-something movies, but some of them are, you know, pretty dated. And I found this one called Carry On Up the Jungle, right?
Woo!
And can you see this?
Yes, can. Yeah.
And just say something if you can't hear it. You should be able to hear it, though. And,
okay.
What up, Sir Davey? What do those drums say? They say, boom, diddy, boom, diddy, boom, boom, boom.
Yes, they're at it again. Those crazy carry-on characters are running amok all over Africa.
What is it? Why have we stopped? See all that? Elephant. Well, I didn't think it was ours.
It's a riotous carry-on up the jungle, where the big game for the great white hunters is hands, knees, and bumps a daisy.
Evelyn.
Peter Rogers and Gerald Thomas guarantee the funniest safari that has ever been disorganized.
Excuse me.
In Carry On Up the Jungle, with Frankie Howard as Inigo Tinkle.
Inigo Tinkle.
Sidney James as Bill Boozy. Joan Sims as Lady Evelyn Bagley.
I never get tired of listening to the strange noises.
Must you do that always? You emit air in that disgusting fashion.
Better than sneaking it out in other ways, isn't it?
Monkey fart.
As Claude Chumley. Terry Scott as Jungle Boy.
Jungle Boy. Look at him.
Charles Hawtrey as the Mighty Tonka.
Water!
Oh, my God, it's the one.
Bernard Bresslaw as Upset Daisy.
That's blackface, is it not?
Yeah. Did I get him?
No, boss. You aim good, but him in the wrong place.
And introducing
That's a
Jackie
British
Pfeiffer
dude.
as Pretty Miss Jane. It's eyes down and look in for the noshers. Because bingo, they're frying tonight.
Do they just drop us into boiling water?
Oh, no. Nothing as barbaric as that. They just drain all the blood out of us first.
That's all we need. Kosher noshers.
Look at this part.
But it's out of the frying pan into the
Look at
fire
these
of desire
savages
for the
here.
man-hungry lovey-dovey's.
They will do. Untie them. Behold, your mates.
Look at this. Classic.
Who chose that lot?
Carry on up the jungle if you can. And if you can't, then...
Fart. So, towards the end of that there, for y'all that are only listening, they found in deepest,
we do encourage
darkest
you to
Africa,
watch at watchpoa.com, by the way.
In deepest, darkest Africa, they apparently found a tribe of nubile, horny white women who live alone without men and are desperate to get railed. Yeah. So desperate that they're about to pork these British papaws, but then the bait and switch is they send out 3 big old fat ugly bitches to do them instead, which is just a classic joke. Classic joke. Also,
Death
one of the British
Snoo
guys is in Death by Snoo Snoo. Exactly. One of the British guys is in blackface and doing a tribey voice, and all the black people are
I'll say he was
and,
in caramel face. Well, you know.
Yeah, but I have a feeling. I feel like that was just a shortcoming of their makeup department.
Yeah,
I don't think,
They
you know
they were
I mean?
going for that, but
They
it
were-
wasn't
right,
the
yeah.
It
just
shoe
didn't-
polish with the red lips. So
Right.
like, you know,
Yeah.
my point is no blackface is good blackface. However, if I had to rank them, that's better than Al Jolson.
Yes, I agree. But anyway, that's pretty much it. That's all I've got, man. We're at an hour and 35 minutes or something, so you're probably going to have to wait till next week, I believe.
To do what?
I don't know. I just assumed you had something you was going to do. You didn't have something you was going to do?
No.
Oh.
I knew
Okay.
I knew this would take to the end of the show, so I put everything aside. Like, no, I knew how this was
Sweet.
going to go.
Okay.
We will do a brief airmail because we do have to go.
Okay.
I definitely had to read this subject line. Trae is right. ... But so is Corey. Howdy, fellers. My name is John, and you can use it like I give a fuck anyways. I ain't got no friends to offend. Corey asked during last week's episode to write in our thoughts about the seriousness of Japanese people, and since Corey is daddy and I'm his little cuck boy, I do as I'm told. I want to start with... I know, baby.
Okay.
I want to start with, quote, no racism. It's like no homo, but for old boys about to spew blatant stereotypes.
Yeah.
My first thought about Japanese culture is immediately about the samurai ninja type badass motherfucker type, followed by strict, hardworking, drunk-ass business fellers. Then I remembered all the cats and crazy game shows and the fact that they have used panty vending machines.
Mm-hmm.
Where are you at now, Bugles and Snickers? And I am immediately reminded they are wild as hell. But then I go back to thinking, if one of those cowboy hat / karaoke loving business type dudes ever got caught pressing E4 for some pussy stained thongs, he would probably take a long walk in the forest, specifically that forest, for dishonoring his family. So I surmise that it is in fact both. Capital B, capital O, capital A, capital F, both. They be wild and eccentric, but there's also a portion of the culture that are probably disgusted by all the jackassery that we see as well. Like anywhere else, there's two types, and they probably genuinely hate each other. Q ain't that America, but sung karaoke style with Tokyo instead of America. Side note, I'm a shitty open micer from Bristol. This is making sense now and hits for me. Y'all inspired me to give it a shot. I opened for Drew and DJ a while back, and it was dope. And I cannot wait to see Trae at home. Super pumped for that. Anyways, how am I? Yeah, all right. Well, I can't read all this other stuff because it was very personal. But either way, we're both right, Trae.
So I'm assuming that's a gay open micer in Bristol, because didn't he say you're his daddy and he's your little cuck boy? And
yeah, either that or he's just hitting.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty graphic hitting. But I mean, yeah, you know, some people hit that way, and that's just fine.
That's true. And one more, we'll switch tones a little bit.
Okay.
Subject line, hope this finds you still doing better, Corey. Which is to say that I noticed on your recent twofer of Genghis Khan episodes, Corey mentioned that he was feeling kind of shitty mentally, and I just wanted to tell both of you, I look forward to Fridays now because I know another one of these episodes will be waiting. taking it back to mental health. I shit you not, I can be feeling sack of elk testicles rotting in the sun levels of fucked up in the head, and listening to the two of you do your thing for an hour and change can take me right out of that funk, and I feel better afterwards. So thank you both for that. Kevin in New York. Skew. That's very sweet.
That is very sweet. Thank you, Kevin.
Where are you going to be this week, Trae?
I'm actually going to be in Bristol tonight. You listen to this on Friday. Bristol tonight, Atlanta tomorrow with the sweetest boy around, Donnie Singstack. He'll be with me next weekend too in Missouri. And then after that, I'm just all over the dadgum place. Go to TraeCrowder.com. Come see me.
Hey, I got a new opinion column out with the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. It's about Jimmy Carter and how people are so mean except for him. So you can go check that out right now. Also, October 11th, I'm going to be doing comics for Kamala in Atlanta with George Wallace and DC Curry. That is going to super hit. Also, go to welovecorey.com. That is where we do all my bonus stuff. And surprise for everybody this week, the latest edition of 3 Clicks and a Hick, which is where I play the internet game 3 Clicks to Schmittler. I don't like to say his full name. It's kind of gross. Schmadolf Schmittler. I will be joined for the first time ever by a guest, and it is none other than Mr. Trae Crowder. I assume it's going to be fun. We're about to do it right now. So go to welovecorey.com, check out all that, and support me financially so I can send my son to college. Other than that, stay fancy, motherfuckers.
Ski way.
Ski way. Skew. Here's Lydia Lovelace.
1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Royalty and rednecks are alike. They both like cutting and picking fights. Biscuits and baked beans where they don't belong. Sit on down with Corey and Trae and learn some fancy shit today. We'll laugh a little even when they're wrong. They'll take you to a magical place where if you call someone a cunt, nobody cares. They keep it debonair at putting on airs, putting on airs, putting on airs, putting on airs.
I don't hit. You don't hit. She don't hit. We don't hit. Hey, I don't hit. All right, let's see here. Lumen. Okay.